Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. Today we got a special interview for you. A buddy of mine that I met when I was on the road playing junior hockey when I was living in Yorkville, Illinois. Uh, he played a variety of sports, was a goofball, and he did make the music intro to our intro video here. So shout out to my boy, Tony LaMantia.
There goes that man's jockstrap. Oh my God, did you see that?
America's team? Yeah, right.
Oh, baby, it's a big day in sports. There's nothing like battling it out with your teammates all season long to go win a championship.
Green Bay's got it this year.
Huge move for them. I think it's going to be a game changer.
We have a lot to talk about this busy week in the sports world. Welcome to the In a League of Their Own podcast.
So kind of with football, starting there, since that's kind of our what you end up doing in college. I guess kind of walk through that, like in high school when you started getting recruitment letters and stuff, and eventually what led to you picking the college that you did.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start. When I was a sophomore in high school, there was like a feud with our coaches or whatever, and so I didn't get pulled up to be varsity, but I was the starter on the sophomore team, and our head coach for varsity wanted us to run the spread, and our coaches knew I was a good running back, so we ran the I formation, and I had like 2,000 yards that season, like turned around our program, had the first winning season. So when I was a junior, they switched from the spread to the I formation because they knew I was coming in. And yeah, my junior year, I got all conference in the Western Sun, which like 4 of the 8 teams that were in that conference the year before that like made it to the state or won state in their respective divisions. And I had like 800 yards and like 8 or 9 touchdowns, I think. And then my senior year, I was like named all area, like in the local newspaper before the season. So I had a lot of hype. And like after my sophomore year, before I even played varsity, I was getting a lot of recruitments from like smaller D1 schools and a bunch of NAIA, some D1 AA schools. But I didn't want to like go to a shitty program, and I didn't want to have to compete for like 3 years to finally, play 1 year and start. I wanted to just start right away. So I was looking at some of the smaller schools, and yeah, I was getting recruited by Wisconsin Whitewater, which I always watched their like D3 championship games on ESPN, like growing up. So I always wanted to go there. And then, yeah, my senior year, I got hurt, and a lot of those bigger schools stopped recruiting. So I stuck with the coaches that were like the most solid through the whole process, and like kind of pretended at least that they actually cared about my health and shit like that. And so I first committed to North Central College, which they're one of the more elite teams in D3 football, and that was close to home. And I just had a lot of shit going on in my house at the time, and I wanted to get away, so I like bailed on my commitment there and ended up committing to Monmouth College because our quarterback was like a superstar. Like he set every record D3 quarterbacks, and I wanted to play with him. And there's NFL scouts at every single one of our practices my freshman year, so it was a pretty cool experience. But yeah, I ended up in high school. I had a knee injury. Like, so my senior year, I started out the first 5 games, and I had like 670 rushing yards and like 5 touchdowns in the first 4 or 5 games. And I was like top 50 or top 100 nationally, like as far as statistics go in the first few games.
So you were on pace to have a great season.
Yeah, I was on pace to hit like 1,500 yards, probably, maybe more if I would have balled out in 1 or 2 games. But yeah, and then I like had a knee injury, and the coaches and like all the doctors were all sketchy and shit with me when I got hurt. And they were like, you're fine. You just hyperextended it. We need you to play. Don't tell the team doctor like how bad it is, like you'll be good. You'll be practicing in 1 or 2 weeks. And so I had to lie to the newspapers that interviewed me and shit. And I had to lie to myself, really. And then I came back in practice, and my first time I got hit in the knee, like something fucked up happened again. And I was like, fuck, almost started a fight with the player that tackled me by the knees, it was, and They were
Frustrated.
like, don't tell the doctor how bad it hurts. You know, you'll be back. It's just tweaked, like all this shit. So I never ended up going to the doctor at all to get my knee checked out. And I feel like I tore my ACL in high school, you know, and I just like trained that whole off season into my freshman year of college with a torn ACL, and I was able to. And
Yeah, dude, that shit's a grind.
Yeah.
around to
Even like
support it.
Julian Edelman right now, he's been evaluated the off season, and he's probably never going to play another full season of football because he has, I don't know what they called it. I don't think it was an ACL or an MCL. It was something
No, it's
else.
something else where no surgeries can repair
His
the
meniscus was
injury.
gone.
I don't know
I
what
don't
it
know.
is, dude.
But basically, he can
Something
only
to the
play
extent-
3 or 4 games at a time, and then he
and
has
then
to
he's gonna have to
rest.
sit.
And that
It's probably the meniscus because that's like a little pad that's in between the bones, and like once you like wear it out so much, like you can't regenerate one, and there's nothing like they can't put a fake one in. I don't think so. Your
Well,
bones
stem cells, they can
grinding
probably
together.
regenerate one
Yeah, that's
nowadays.
great. I wish I
Yeah,
would have cells, dude.
yeah. I mean, I can't believe it's illegal.
Hospital. Oh.
Can't believe it's illegal. It'd be so beneficial, not just for athletes, but just for anybody who, like we're talking about, the casual athlete in high school who's fucked something up and didn't want to go get surgery back then, can get stem cells and repair the goddamn thing.
That's how Peyton Manning came back.
Oh yeah.
Went to Europe and got stem cell surgery on his neck. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to play again.
Yeah, a lot of NFL athletes actually they go to Mexico and stuff during the off season and get stem cells because it's illegal in the U.S. I don't know why we're slacking in that area. Probably because the medical industry would
It's an ethical.
pharmaceuticals, I should say, would
But
probably.
nowadays they can take stem cell, like instead of getting stem cells from like the other way, like the non-ethical way. I don't have to elaborate, I feel like, but now they can get stem cells from you and give you your own stem cells. Like, and so they don't have to get from other places now, which is pretty cool. And so I feel like that should change the game for that being a thing in America.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the nice thing about bodies being symmetrical. You got something fucked up with your left arm, you pull some cells from your right because it's all the same. It's all the same cells. It's all the same chemistry. And you just split your body in half, and if one side's fucked up, pull from the other side. Basically, it's to dumb it down. It's kind of the simple way to say it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's dive into your college career here.
All right. So that reason I ended up choosing the school that I chose was because there was 2 kids that were seniors when I was a junior that I played with that both went there, and they were like really well liked on campus, and they took me on my recruiting visit, and like their coach really wanted me, so they showed me a good ass time. And like during my recruitment visit, the quarterback that I was telling you about, they were making this trick shot video that ended up going viral on YouTube, and because of that, that's how he got some attention from NFL scouts. And so I just ended up committing there, and like it was like a really redneck school where I didn't really fit in with a lot of these kids, and they didn't know who I was because they're all from small town schools, so they all knew each other and shit. And I played at like a way higher division in high school, and ended up going there. Like no one really liked me, and then I lit it up on the football field, and like people started to like me, you know, and ended up making a starting spot on the varsity squad, which is like a 57-man roster or whatever, and there was like 140 kids on our football team. And yeah, I was lighting it up as a freshman. Made the varsity squad. I was like the 3rd string running back in rotation with like 15 running backs, and one of them was an All-American. And besides that, I started on all the special teams as a freshman, and I got to travel with the team. And then week 2, we traveled to Iowa for a game and on varsity, and I played in every single quarter. And legally, you're not supposed to play more than 4 quarters. Like if you're going to play varsity and JV, you got to split like 2 and 2, you know? And they had us travel for a JV game the next day, and I was like lighting it up in that game, and I had like a 60-yard screen pass touchdown like in the first half. And everyone's like, damn, dude, I didn't know you could run that fast. I'm like, man, what the fuck? You know, like, what do you think I came here to do? And then that game I played in the second half, which was illegal for me to even be playing in that game. And I like broke free on around the end on like a 10-yard sweep. But the most fucked up part about that injury in that game was we were playing on an old school style like AstroTurf field, right? Like not a field turf one that has like some give with the little rubber bullets. You know, if you get tackled, your leg would slide out with the rubber pellets. It was just like a little fuzzy carpet, and like you're supposed to wear tennis shoes or like plastic like molded cleats, you know, like the little kids baseball type cleats, you know, or like those tennis shoes that have spikes. And I was wearing molded cleats with little spikes, you know, that like, so when I broke 10 yards, I was about to, this little corner was like dove at my legs basically, and like kind of stepped on my foot and like has put his helmet towards my knee. Like all my momentum went one way and like my knee went the other way with that kid. My foot stayed like planted in that spot because of the type of field it was. And it was like the loudest, nastiest noise you'd ever hear, you know? And I was like, fuck, my mom was there. I told my mom, like, I'm never going to play football again. She's like, don't say that. And then they told me the same thing. They told me in high school, like, no, it's just hyperextended, you know, you'll be good. So I'm like on the sidelines, like running back and forth, you know, like telling myself, no, I'm good. It's not torn, you know, like, fuck. And another kid tore his ACL that game, and he was like crying and screaming, and they had to like take him off on the ambulance and shit. And like, there's no way I tore my ACL, you know? And so after that, time goes on and I'm just practicing like with the team, you know, and I'm doing like workouts and drills, but without pads and shit. And so like I felt like I was strong enough. I was working out, and then like 3 weeks later, like the day before I'm about to certify, like to practice full pads, I'm just like catching field goals, you know, like catching the kicks for the kicker, just practicing field goals. And I just like grabbed one and went to like cut, you know, after I caught it, and it just popped and dropped me. And my coach was finally like, yeah, you need to go get an MRI. I'm like, no way, there's no way it's torn, you know? So whatever, I went to get the MRI, and the doctor's like, yeah, so not only is your ACL torn, but it's been ruptured. Like, it's not there. It's not attached to either bone. It's just in pieces, disintegrated, floating around in your body. And I was like, holy shit, you know, what? No way. Like, there's no way. I was like, I got to get a second opinion. And I went to the second doctor, and he said the same thing. So I finally got the surgery.
What do they have to do for surgery to repair that?
So they were trying to give me a cadaver graft, which means like the ACL of a dead person. And I was like, oh, hell no. You're not putting some fucking old man's ACL in my knee. Fuck that, you know? So I got, what's another, I'm sure there's like better ways to do it now because it's been like 10 years, but I got a patella graft. So basically you know what your patella is, right? Like the tendon. So they took the bone it's attached to on the top, take the bone it's attached to on the bottom, and like slice it out, keep it attached to the bone, and then drill through your leg where your ACL is and insert it, and then screw it into the bone on either side, and it replaces, and then they sew your patella back, and it grows back stronger. Yeah, it's pretty fucked. And then so after I got surgery, which is like, I don't know if you guys have any other questions. I'm just like, I got another story that's about like just basically how I got fucked out of my like scholarship money from not playing, and got school's insurance, and like the school's insurance denied my claim for surgery after I tore my ACL playing football for them.
Yeah. I got a quick question before we continue. So when you went on your recruiting trip, did you like the classic version? Like, did they take you out partying and all that?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it was like the coach was like, "Get this motherfucker laid," you know. That's like that's the vibe it was. And so the dynamic from the fraternities on our school's campus is weird because normally they hate the football players, but like when there's recruitment visits, like they want people to come to the school too, you know. So like everyone was in on it, you know. It seems like like they take us to the frat party, and like we partied, and it was a crazy ass party. And then just like all the upperclassmen, like all the starters were like treating you like they fucking want you to play, like they want you to be a starter on their team and shit. Just like great fucking time. And then you get to campus, and it's like nothing goes down like that most of the time. Like there was never a night that was like as lit as that night was, you know. It was weird. But yeah, they totally got me for sure.
Oh, that's why they call it the recruiting trip. You know, they try to they lock you in.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So you can continue with the whole football story.
Word. So basically, that school is a private school, which I went there for a good education. You know, like I could have went because I grew up like my mom didn't make any money, so I had like financial aid to pay for most of my schooling. So if I would have went to a public school, would have got all paid for. But I wanted to go there because they had one of the top 50 rated educations in the United States out of all universities. You know, and so my like like D3 can't give scholarships, right? So they call them grants, and so you get like an athletic grant and you get an academic grant, and which are each like $15,000. And then my financial aid like had to get loans for the rest of it, right? And so I tore my ACL and like right away, right? Like I think it was right first or second week of school starting, right? So they tell me like the trainer advises me like you should just just put it off and wait so winter breaks, you don't have to miss any class and your grades don't get affected. So I listened. I'm like, all right. And then my mom didn't know that I was on her like government insurance, right? And so by the time I turned 19, then that insurance expired. So I was no longer like covered. I no longer had insurance. And then we were like, fuck. And then the school's trainer told me like, if you get the school's insurance, it just costs like 2,500 deductible. Like any surgery over 10 grand, it pays for 100%. And like my surgery costs like 65 grand. And so I was like, all right. So I got my mom to pay that, my mom doesn't know shit about any of this, so we listened to them and I got my surgery. And then like a week or two after the surgery, I'm getting letters in my school mailbox, like $65,000. And I'm freaking out. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, how am I going to pay for this? And they're like, you had a pre-existing injury. So you're like, so I went to the trainer's office and was like, what the fuck, man? And then he was like, I told the school, I threatened to get lawyers. And then like, he called me into his office one day and was like, straight up pretended like he never advised me to get the school's insurance or never said any of that shit. And like, mind you, this was the guy that was giving me my physical therapy, like for my recovery for my knee surgery. And so like, obviously I stopped going to him and started doing it on my own and like just made things really weird. So like, I decided like I was going to stop showing up to football practices and football meetings. Cause I'm like, all right, now I have to deal with these student loans. Now I got to pay for this fucking knee surgery somehow. So I'm not going to play football cause I'm not going to get hurt again and have the same thing, like risk of the same thing happening. And then, so I stopped playing football. Like I did good that semester. Next semester I go, like, I have all my shit. I'm ready to move in. And the school like pulls me aside and tells me like, whoa, you, like your athletic scholarship was reduced because you're not playing football. Like you need to come up, you need to give us $2,500. Otherwise you can't come this semester. And like, I was like, I don't know how that's going to happen. And they're like, all right, well, you can try to get a job on campus and come up with it by the end of next semester. Otherwise you can't come back. And then by that semester, I had already like gotten an actual lawyer and I threatened like a year of my credit getting fucked up from this medical bill, mind you, So like, that's the reason I decided to stop playing football. And then once I got back and they told me because I wasn't playing football, I had to come up with that money. And then like, I finally like threatened to sue them with lawyers. And then the next day they were like, oh yeah, even though it was a pre-existing injury, we decided to cover it, finally after a year of that. And so then I still wasn't playing football, and I like wasn't in good shape. And I gained like 60 pounds after my knee surgery. So mostly like it fucked me up mentally, but by the end of it all, I tried to, like they told me I couldn't come back because I couldn't come up with the money. Like I begged everyone in my family to give me a loan, couldn't go back. So I had to like stop going to school and move back and work. And then I moved back to Yorkville and started working and went to community college for like a year and a half, which I never finished there either. So now I have like fucking 4 years worth of credits floating around that I can't get to. But yeah, I always told myself like if I got hurt playing football, it meant that I was supposed to like do creative shit for a living, and that ended up happening. And so I wouldn't really change anything, but that story and like what happened to me and my experience is kind of fucked up. And like, not only that, but just like after I got hurt, like no one on campus, like none of the coaches were supportive of me. Like none of the teachers were supportive of me, like missing class because I just had knee surgery, and it's just like a bad experience. Like they treat you like used goods after you get hurt in college sports, and it's just like you realize it's just a giant machine, and there's only a couple people profiting off of the NCAA, and it's so fucked up. Like it's so fucked up that for one, like these bigger schools that are making millions of dollars off one game, like they can't pay all their players to go to school there. Like they only have a select amount of scholarships, and not only that, like but they should have a fucking insurance plan that insures every athlete that gets hurt playing for their school, like those should be the things that they at least have, right?
Dolls, basically.
Yeah,
it is. Sports is an interesting world. So then, do you want to dive in here? We can start talking about just head trauma in sports, and especially in football, just like with like in the past probably 4 years or so, all of just the documentation about CTE and all of this that has come out. What are your thoughts on head trauma and stuff like that?
So yeah, I think it's like it needs to be taken a lot more seriously, and looking back on my experiences, like I always think to myself, like if I have a kid, or when I have a kid, will I let my kid play football, like what do you think? Would you?
Honestly,
or hockey? Like, are you going to encourage your kid? I'm gonna let my kid play football if they want to play, but I'm not going to be like pressuring them.
No, I'd honestly appreciate if my kid would find something in music or something else away from sports, due to how much I've spent of my life already like indulged in sports. It'd be nice to have them be successful at something else, so you can learn about something else in life, even like, so you're not just stuck in your little box. But yeah, if they like sports, then great. But
at least lay out,
not going to be forced.
At least lay out the groundwork for it, because I feel like, especially because like CTE and concussions, even like from the point like of middle school, like getting into middle school to the end of high school, they made headway on like concussion protocol and stuff, and it's been leaps and bounds even better now. So like kind of like we were just talking about, like, oh, kids down the road with sports, I just lay out the groundwork. As terrifying as it would be, hey, you might get fucked up, like have them understand the risk that they're taking, because we didn't have that conversation when we were little, because that information wasn't available.
That's a problem though. You're a little kid, you can't understand.
When we were like third or fourth grade, they didn't even really know what CTE was. Like the NFL, obviously they knew about it, because they were getting those like first suicides from players who they then realized like wrote in their suicide notes that they wanted to donate their brain to find out what was wrong with them, and then
oh yeah, dude,
once that started happening, then like that was our third, fourth grade, like when the NFL finally started acknowledging that, like when that became a thing, and concussion protocols started to change, like when we were high school age, college age, I feel like. But like we were talking about earlier, like they say every time you get your bell rung, and like your vision goes blurry, like that's a concussion, at least a mild one, and if you rack up like 10 or 12 of those motherfuckers, like your brain's never going to be the same. And for me, I was always a bruising football player, and I had like a rough upbringing, and like football was always my outlet, and I was like a calm person. I never wanted to fight, but on the football field I was violent, and I would hit kids that were way bigger than me, and to the point where they're bouncing off of me. And every time that happens, like your bell gets rung a little bit, and I never told anyone. So I would say I probably played through like at least 20 or more concussions, and never told anyone about it, never sat out at all, never missed practice because of it. And I had migraines for a long time. And even as a kid, my mom took me to doctors because I had migraines, and I never put two and two together that like why I had migraines was because of the way I played sports, And and then like fast forward till now, like about a year ago, I had like a 4-month long migraine, and I went to see like a neurologist about it, like told him about my background in sports. Like I got my brain scan to make sure that I didn't have brain cancer, and they didn't find tumors, luckily, but what they found was like calcifications, which is just like pieces of bone built up, just like floating in your brain. And he basically told me that that was from a concussion from my brain bleeding. And after like your brain bleeds, it like forms a calcification like that. And which is something that young people aren't supposed to have. And it's something that like is a symptom of like early onset CTE, but they don't know enough about it. Like the doctor didn't know enough about it. They don't know enough about it to like tell you that you do have it. But yeah, so I could have, you know, like my brain could be fucked up. I mean, obviously it is, but yeah, I don't know if that was the cause, like those calcifications, if they were always there, and it never really bothered me if that was the cause of the migraine I was having. Like I never got any definitive answers from any of the doctors. They were just trying to prescribe me to like all kinds of medicines to relieve the migraine that were like antidepressant type medications. So I never ended up taking any of them. But yeah, I still get migraines from time to time, but because of my like pain tolerance, I feel like that I built up in sports. Like when I get headaches or migraines, I just like don't let it affect me at all. You know, it's like always been like that for me. And so yeah, I've been trying to do healthy shit lately. You know, like stop partying so much and giving my brain a break because it could be fucked up. You know, and you never know. The more you learn about CTE, the scarier it gets. And yeah, that's why like going back to like the question, like, what do you let your kids play these collision sports? Like, I don't know. If I knew my kid was going to be like NFL potential, maybe, but like, I don't know. Shit.
I'd let them play, but not until they're old enough, dude. Like, not until they're like 15, 16 years old.
The helmet
What?
should be, but I don't know.
Because you're
Like,
you're not ready for those. Even getting pushed in the arm, dude, causes your
yeah.
head to fucking snap. And especially when you're a kid and you're not strong, dude, that's a concussion. Like I can't tell you how many times people have gotten concussions from getting pushed like in the shoulder.
The most I've had them was from like the most frequent injury that I would get them from was getting tackled, like running towards the sideline. Someone tackles you with the speed you're going, and then like wraps you around, and then whips you in your head and like whips back onto the turf.
Yeah,
like hitting your head against the turf going full speed, like hurts more
that's
than
like
any
two.
collision that I've had. You know,
Well, that's like two concussions.
yeah,
Your head hitting
your head hits,
originally, and then your
whiplash.
head hitting the helmet.
Yeah,
Which is crazy. You see all those highlights of like NFL catches where they're like stretching out back. It's like if you slow that down, those motherfuckers are getting concussions, slamming their heads into the ground.
That's why you're not allowed to hit. You're not allowed to hit when the wide receiver's like jumping up in the air. They're not allowed to hit them anymore, which that's a good rule, I feel like. And the kickoffs too, they changed that. Like kick returns, I used to be the guy on kick return.
Oh,
that
fucking running full speed,
that would
20 miles an hour down the field.
And someone, dude. Yeah.
Well, your helmet's a weapon too in football. Like I can't tell you how many times
I never
like coaches and shit would tell you, especially being a linebacker, put your helmet on the ball. So you're putting your face mask right into the dude's hands and you're crunching their hands. But
my hands used to be, I've broken like every finger from football. Like this finger does this now. All my fingers are swollen permanently from jamming them. Like I used to have face mask bruises on my hands. Like that shit was gnarly, really gnarly. Like it all like all the injuries are combined in the way they affect you. I feel like as far as whether it's the head injury or like getting a major surgery like that. So you never know. You never have time to like isolate and figure out like which injury might be causing this, you know, and like that was the thing for my migraines. Like I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if I'm just gonna have these migraines forever, you know, it's something I have to deal with. So I changed a lot. I changed my diet. Like I started wearing blue light glasses at work to kind of like reduce my headaches. And I feel like because I was on a vegan diet, I was trying out vegan diet at the time that I was having the headache. So like that could have been part of it, you know. So I started eating meat again. I started doing all these things and I stopped getting headaches. So like I couldn't tell you like whether it was one specific thing that like stopped that migraine from being like 3 or 4 months long, but I'm sure it's a combination of all of them, you know. like every single thing I mentioned, plus the injuries.
Oh, right. Absolutely. Yeah. We know a kid, dude. The kid that I lived with, Paku. Like, I went to a summer skate with him it was like a college showcase that we got invited to. And it was like the first or second game, I want to say. And some kid just fucking one of the dirtiest plays in hockey that you fully have control over. Like when you're going in to hit a guy, you decide at that 1 second, because in hockey it's not so where your feet are planted and you're kind of stuck in that position. In hockey, you're free moving, so however you want to hit the guy, when you hit the guy, you can, because you're so free moving. It's not like you have to take all of your weight and move it into a certain spot. And people just people where a defenseman or a winger is up against the board, they catch the puck and they move it, and the guy comes through and hits them, and they take their shoulder, their elbow, and they drive their head into the glass, like fucking boom, boom, like the double bell ring. And that's what happened to Paku. And I remember he went down and he started getting headaches, and then he was done with all sports for forever because of that.
Yeah, he had to stop playing football because of that too.
Yeah, dude. Like because I lived with him, and like the protocol at first was he had to like ride a bike for 5 minutes every day for a week straight to see if he wouldn't get a headache. Then it like went up to 10 minutes, then it went up to like 20, and he made it up to like 20 minutes, and like that was his max that he could like do something without getting like a chronic headache from like moving and stuff.
I remember because I played travel ball with him for years, and he had to stop playing baseball because like if you got hit in the head with a baseball, obviously that would fuck you up.
Well, just the running and shit, dude. Once your head's so fucked up like that, man, not good. Like I've seen some kids in hockey, especially too, like the hitting someone and their head snapping, like shoulder to shoulder, great collision. Both people go down, but they're both their heads fucking snap back like when they hit each other. It was my defensive partner, and I remember one time he comes back to the bench and he turns and looks at me straight face, dude. Like middle of the game, it was like tie game, super intense. It was like third period, and I just remember he looks at me and he goes, "Dude, what locker room are we in?" And I was like, "Why do you need to know this like right now?" And he was just like, and then I just like started like really staring at him, and like his eyes were all over the place, dude. And he was just like, "Well, yeah, dude, like what locker room are we in?" That's the only thing he wanted to know. And then I looked at my coach and I was like, "Dude, he's fucked. Like, get him some help, dude." Like, everybody in the whole entire rink saw this happen, and it's just like, you're gonna let the fucking poor guy sit on the goddamn bench while his brain's probably bleeding. It is just
I got another concussion story from football too. Now that you're talking about this, I remember it. So in my sophomore year, we're playing at NIU Stadium because that's where DeKalb played their games, and we're on like the 10-yard line, and I have like a 6-yard run. I get a first down, and I got hit so hard. It was one of those runs where I slammed my head against the grass, from getting swung around. And I get up, and like they call the huddle break, and I like had to grab the quarterback. Like my eyes are stuck cross-eyed, dude. I can't see anything. Like everything is spinning, and like it feels like my eyes are pinned, like cross-eyed, like this, like looking at each other. And I pull the quarterback like after he calls the play. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? I'm like, are my eyes stuck cross-eyed? And he's like, what? Like, are my eyes stuck cross-eyed? Dude, I can't see anything. He's like, no, man, we're running a play. I was like, what's the play? What's the play? And he had to like come out from under center and tell me what the play was, because I was still standing there. And I scored a touchdown on a 2-yard run right after that, and like then kept playing the whole rest of the game. And finally my vision came back, but like he said my eyes weren't stuck cross-eyed, so it just like it looked like that, like
that's your brain being rattled, dude.
Yeah, and I played the whole rest of that game. Didn't tell the coaches, like he was the only one that knew really, but everyone else obviously that was on the field probably saw me like, what the fuck is this guy doing? But yeah,
my best friend, he got hit in hockey and went headfirst into the boards. He said that he remembers crying for his dog, and that he was so excited that Christmas was tomorrow, and it was like the middle of February. He just said that's the two things that he remembered. He was like being so excited for Christmas, and then he wanted to see his dog. Super bad. It's just like,
Yeah, I would just know that when shit like that happened, to keep to myself and not talk to anybody, because like people would start talking to you and you would say like today's Thursday when it's Monday, and like you wouldn't know anything. I kept that one game. I kept asking people like, "Why does everything look like a cartoon?" Like I kept asking that to people over and over again. Oh shit! Well, my brain's fried. No, but I haven't had migraines like a lot since that time. But I had COVID a couple months ago, and I've been having like migraines again since then.
How was that whole COVID experience?
How was it?
Yeah.
It fucked me up pretty bad.
Did it?
Yeah, I had a fever for like 12 days. For like over 102 degrees, and then I got off quarantine, and then I didn't have chest pains during COVID, but after I was back at work, I started having like chest pains. Like it felt like something was like grabbing my collarbones from the inside, and like my heart was beating like way faster than it should have. I called my doctor, tell my doctor what I was like feeling like, what my pulse was, and they're like, "You need to go to the ER." And I was like, "Oh, I'll go after I'm done working." And they're like, "No, I can't advise that. Like, you need to go now." So like I left to make sure I wasn't having a heart attack, and they took like a scan of my lungs, and my lungs were swollen and like restricting my heart from pumping blood like its normal way, and that's why I had like an elevated heart rate. And yeah, that lasted for like 3 or 4 weeks of my lungs feeling like someone was squeezing them, and that was like a month after I had COVID. And then yeah, like I started working out a couple weeks ago again, and like the COVID symptoms kind of come back after your workout, but it's like just trying to like push through it, and try to re-heal my body. But I don't know, dude. It's kind of fucked up.
I don't know, dude. I wouldn't push it if I were you.
I don't push it because first of all, I'm like way out of shape, and I'm just getting back into it, So I'm trying to like ease my way into it. But yeah, I don't really like run because of my knee surgery. Like I use the elliptical and like the stair climber.
Oh yeah, dude. Running on concrete is so bad for your knees.
But I'll use the treadmill and walk like uphill. That's like better. You burn more calories than slowly jogging doing that. But yeah, now that you say it, like I do get headaches when I like run on concrete and like my head's bouncing around and shit.
It's
like
not just bad for your head, dude. For your knees and your joints in your knees and your ankles. It's so bad. Like the hard, like they say you're supposed to, if you like want to like run, like especially all those kids like cross country running.
Yeah,
that's why it's always in the well, it's always why they do it like in the forests and through fields and shit. Like they're always on grass when they're running like long ass fucking like shit like that, because if they're doing it on a track, dude, their knees would be shot by the time they're seniors in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out to those people, especially the ones that like go out in the winter when in shorts when there's like 12 inches of snow. They're all pink.
And run miles. Yep.
Yeah. Run miles, like you're killing yourself, but have fun. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, as far as like CTE, I think like the next 5 to 10 years, like dealing with NFL players that were like in their prime when we were in high school playing how we played, I feel like in a few years we're gonna start to see a lot more of it, And I feel like this is why NFL players are like demanding more money nowadays, because they realize, especially once you get to the NFL, like every one of those players in the NFL has like a story like I just told you guys, like but times 10, and like 10 times that they've dealt with like a traumatic injury or something and just had to like put their body at risk because they knew like their life was on the line, And there's so many players that have stories like that, and almost every like
well, and just think of all the kids that do that exact same thing and don't make it.
Yeah.
Like think of all the kids who fucking put their body through the ringer to try to make it that don't even get that chance to sniff the pros or the semi-pros even. Like I can't tell you how many kids I know that have fucked their bodies up beyond belief that will probably be in wheelchairs when they're like 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
For what? Like at the time, it's like, yeah, dude, you're balling, you're with the boys, you want to win, but at the end of the day,
it's like for me, it's like I fell in love with music, and I was good at football, and I wanted to do music more, and like got to a point where I wasn't playing for like the joy of football anymore. I was playing because I knew that was my way out, you know. And there's a lot of other people that are in that exact same situation, you know, that don't even like their passions. Like a lot of these kids that come from like really bad areas that are heavily recruited as children, you know, like they could like other shit, you know, and they just get forced to play football because that's literally their only way out, football or like singing or rapping or basketball, you know. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how that's going to affect the NFL. Like I do know they have been like the concussion tests in the NFL. You have to take
That's all bullshit.
Yeah, it is. Like in college, when I was in college, we'd have to take like these computer tests that you could easily pass, even if you were fucking dazed as fuck, you know. And that's the only thing they do to evaluate you is like give you a computer test. And
I'm saying,
obviously,
yeah,
don't really give you the full test, you know.
yeah, it's got to be way better than that because like you even look at the NFL, you see some of those guys getting hit, and then when they slow mow it down even more, it's like you've taken those. Everybody who's played football knows maybe not the same speed or force that they're getting hit, but
It's like
everybody's been hit like that, and they
it's like a
know how
UFC
that
fight.
is.
Get dazed and stumble once or twice, and then like you're good to go. You know, like that shit happens in football. I've seen that happen a lot more this year in the NFL than like I can remember any other year.
And they ain't taking these guys out.
But
Look
you
at
know,
Patrick Mahomes.
yeah, dude,
Divisional round.
Mahomes'
He
lineman
played
wasn't there. That would have looked so bad on TV if his lineman wasn't there to pick him up. If he would have collapsed again. Shout out to that lineman, dude. Like he knew. He grabbed him like this and like.
Well, yeah, his legs folded.
Up. Yeah.
But that's what I mean, dude. It's like,
so let's talk about that one. What do you think happened to him? Do you think the concussion wasn't from actually getting hit? It was the whiplash, right?
I say it's a both. It was one of those double dingers where the hit plus his head smashing the ground.
Because I was looking at it in slow motion. I'm watching it. I'm like, how is he that dazed? Like, and then I was also thinking, like, I think he got choked out. That dude like wrapped his arm around his neck like this. I think he might have got choked out, but and had a concussion, or I don't know if it was
because I remember because like they went like when he was coming up, they kind of like zoomed in like on the replay, like how they like zoom in on like what happens. When he was coming up, he had one of those cross-eyed, googly-eyed looks going on, and I texted Collin, and I was like, "Mahomes has got a concussion, dude. He's out." And then he's out there still playing. Well, no, they brought in the backup, whatever.
Yeah, they took him out right away.
But then it's like, and then he's back the following week playing, and it's
just
like,
field though with his equipment.
I think they got away with it, not because they didn't even call it a concussion. They said he had like a stinger or something in his neck that like threw off his equilibrium, is what they called it. Because obviously, if they call it a concussion, I think you're out like 10 days is kind of like the minimum to get back.
Yeah, weeks, I think.
I thought he
he didn't know where the fuck he was for a second. He didn't know where the fuck he was. But like I said, it looked like that dude did kind of like grab him like this and choke him out. So that might have been it. And that's what I thought at first. But yeah, they definitely didn't listen to protocol. They were shit.
It's money-making business, dude. Yeah. Every down Mahomes is on that field taking snaps. They're selling beers, making money.
Right.
Every chance that they got their backup quarterback taking seats, they're probably losing money.
Right. Exactly.
But that's how they have to think, you know, just like every NFL team, basically, any sport across the board, basically. Like, look at the Lakers, dude. LeBron, AD, all of them are out, and they're still winning.
Yeah. I was watching the Lakers beat the shit out of the Nets last night. Mm-hmm. What's up with Harden? Does he have a concussion?
No, hamstring.
Oh.
You're supposed to be out like 10 days or something.
They haven't played one game like all together, have they?
No. Nope. The three of them have played
7, I think.
7 in the 3 months since they acquired Harden, but all 4, including Blake Griffin, haven't played together yet.
Nope. And then they got Aldridge too.
Like player prop bets, and I don't know why I bet every time that Kyrie Irving's gonna get 6 assists, and that dude doesn't pass the ball. He's got 0 assists. He gets 0 assists.
That team's all eyes.
He just passes the ball, dude. I mean, he doesn't pass the ball. He just fucking shoots every time he gets it.
Well, that's all of them, dude. KD runs it up the floor. He's going ISO. Kyrie's going ISO. Harden's going ISO. They all want to do the sick fucking dribble, drop the three right in their
Kyrie's
face.
been killing it, though. He's been balling out, so he doesn't really need to pass.
That's
What
why
do you think about Zion?
Zion, I think he needs to get out, get off the Pelicans and get on a better team.
Do you think he's going to stay healthy with how he jumps?
I don't know. Not if he keeps putting on as much weight as he does. Like, he gained a lot of weight in like 1 or 2 years. Like,
I could see him being like a D Rose, but accelerated with how big he is.
Yeah, I think because I've never seen any dude. I've never seen anybody jump as high as Derrick Rose in my entire life.
He was
with my own 2 eyes.
I think he was on steroids.
He was like a fucking leapfrog, dude. He just like a pogo stick. It's like he had pogo springs in his shoes, dude. Like for how easy it was for him to just go whoop, right
And
over everyone.
He's barely 6 foot tall, dude.
Yeah, dude, and he'd out jump 6'8" foot guys.
He would posterize motherfuckers. Like he would dunk that hard because he was not only was he able to jump that high, he was strong, so he could push you a little bit, even if you were like a foot taller than him. But yeah, dude, I feel bad for him. He's making a comeback though.
And then since more football talk, since you are a Chicago native Bears fan, what do you think?
Man.
What do you think they're gonna do with the direction of their franchise here?
I don't know.
What would you do if you were the GM?
Even though I hate Pace, like one thing Pace has always been known for is like the cards that he's showing you are not the cards that are in his deck, you know, and like he usually does the opposite of what he makes it seem like he's gonna do. So I'm hoping that we're gonna trade up and try to get like Trey Lance or something, you know. But I don't know. Like I don't know, Andy Dalton. What the fuck? What the fuck? Like
the red rifle, man.
Was he better than Mitch Trubisky? You know, like now Matt Nagy's calling plays again. And the thing about Matt Nagy is his offense revolved around having a mobile quarterback, like not a pocket passer. And now he got Andy Dalton and Nick Foles, so 2 pocket passing quarterbacks that don't fit his like offensive genius scheme or whatever. So I don't really understand it. But I don't know. I think they're just trying to win 10 games for 1 more year. And they were going to give away 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and 2 starters for Russell Wilson. So, like, I don't know.
How pumped would you have been if you guys got Russ, though?
I think there's a chance that at like June, he's not like teams can pick him up and they're not obligated to pay his contract like once June hits after the draft. So I don't know. I feel like I don't know if he's gonna be staying in Seattle. Like the way they hyped that up and like the way they made it seem like him and Pete Carroll were not getting along. I could see like another major trade happening, but I don't know why they got Dalton and named him the starter. Like, why would you name him the starter? Because they were trying to trade 2 starters for Russell Wilson.
Because you guys signed they signed Dalton like a day after the Wilson thing fell through.
Yeah.
It was like, fuck, we didn't get our guy. Okay, who's out? All right, Red Rifle Dalton, here he comes.
What do you think about him, though? Do you think he's good?
He did good in the beginning of his career.
Though.
He did great at the beginning of his career when he was in Cincinnati. For him being able to get to the playoffs however many years that he did, that was awesome to see. He did great at TCU in college too.
At a shitty program. So I think
he's one of those guys, dude. He's gotten his bell rung 1 too many times, and his plays kind of went like, "What the fuck's going on, dude?" Like,
I think if the Bears can put together a solid offensive line this offseason, then I think it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Like their defense is going to be good enough to compete. Yeah. But if a shitty quarterback needs a good offensive line, otherwise they're not going to be like worth a damn, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what people don't realize.
Who's going to win the NFC North?
I don't know. I might be a Packers fan this year, dude.
Let's go.
I like Aaron Rodgers because I used to hate him, but I listened to his weekly interviews on the Pat McAfee show, and like I just think he's a cool ass dude now.
You're like 80% of the country, dude. Like they did a poll on the McAfee show. so many people call in, like when they answer calls and say the exact same thing. They're just like,
Yeah.
I thought Rodgers was a douchebag. I'm even one of those people, dude. It's like for him, how he presented himself to the media,
Yeah.
especially like living in Wisconsin, you get to see a little bit more than what you don't get to see. Like obviously you get to the home
I get
home
what you're-
team, you get a little bit more. But yeah, it's like what a douche, that type of thing. And it's like he comes on the McAfee show and like he's such a down to earth dude, like who just genuinely loves playing football, who's fucking really good at it, wants to be a Packer for life, and then our organization sits there and dicks him around. Like,
Yeah. I don't know. I think the Green Bay Packers are going to win the division, but that's only if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy. But who knows? Jordan Love might be really good too.
hey, we'll trade him to you guys. Give us the red rifles, our backup.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll take it. Shit, I'll take anyone really. I don't know, man. I think Teddy Bridgewater would be better for Matt Nagy's offense than either of the quarterbacks we have. But realistically, I like Nick Foles. I think that think back. Nick Foles being the Bears quarterback, we beat Tom Brady and the Buccaneers
Yeah.
by a field goal. And that was before all of our offensive line were completely hurt. Like the first 2 weeks, the Bears lost 3 starting offensive linemen, and then one of them got hurt. So basically they had like 4 backups and like third string players on the starting line. And that's why like Nick Foles looked like he couldn't do anything, because he's a pocket passer. He needs to be protected. You know, he's only going to play when he's protected. He's only going to play good. But he beat Tom Brady twice, dude. Once in the Super Bowl and once with the Bears. So, wow, I don't know why. I don't think Andy Dalton's any better than him, to be honest.
No. I think Dalton's only looked good. Like he looked good on the Bengals because who the hell sells there? AJ Green.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
TJ
easy.
Houshmandzadeh.
That
It's
guy
easy to look good on a
was so
team that
crazy.
sucks ass when you're the
AJ Green's
quarterback.
catch radius is like so insane. Like you could throw it anywhere and he would go up and catch it, you know?
Yeah. And then last year in Dallas, there wasn't an expectation because the team was in the shitter as soon as Prescott went down and they had other injuries. So he comes in. They're not expecting him to go out and do anything great. So it's like, I think if Nick Foles isn't the starter, that the team either is down the shitter or they got to find somebody else. I don't
Yeah, I
see
think you guys are in
Dalton
trouble.
being the
they
guy.
got as a starter and named him a starter so they can try to have leverage to trade him for something else. I don't know. Does that happen like that ever?
It could, dude. Like you said, Bridgewater, I could definitely see him.
Yeah, he'd be a good fit.
Or like you said, you guys are willing to trade 3 first-round picks, 2 seconds, and 2 starters to get a quarterback. I could see you guys moving up to get a guy in the draft too.
I think they should move up and get Trey Lance, dude. He looks like he's gonna be a stud. And even if he's not, it would be better to risk it and try to build for the future than to put a washed up fucking scrub in and expect to make a playoff run. Like Andy Dalton will get to the Bears to the wild card and we'll make it to the first round of the playoffs and then get our asses whooped. You know, like it happens every time. But I don't know, dude. I think that Pace has like some tricks up his sleeve or he's literally trying to take the whole organization down with him. That's how I feel as a Bears
That's
fan.
what happened in Houston. So I wouldn't, a lot of owners burn everything to the ground when they're on their way. When they know they're on their way out, they fucking leave their mark on their squad.
Yeah.
They're talked about for years, dude, about how this fucking asshole ruined this franchise for 10 years. Cause it takes a while. It takes a while to get a franchise back going.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like the MLB.
No, dude, I just cannot picture the Bears with Andy Dalton as our quarterback. I guess it's like, you know how many quarterbacks I've had to watch as a Bears fan? Like probably over like 30 in the last 15 years. Way more than 30, actually. Like they made it to the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman, dude. What kind of shit was that?
Cutler was my favorite, dude.
Yeah, Cutler's like Rodgers, where everyone in Chicago hates him because they think he's just like a smug asshole, but like behind the scenes, he's like actually a leader.
Yeah.
And that's what Cutler was. Everyone in Chicago hated him because he just looked like a slouch on the sidelines. I feel like that's why he got booed out of Chicago.
I just loved him because I forgot what the stat was, but he's thrown more pick sixes to the Packers than like any other team combined quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I think he's like 3rd or 4th all time for passing touchdowns to the Packers. It's like that's why I loved him, dude. Every time the Packers played him, you knew he was good for 3 or 4 picks, dude.
I don't think he ever beat the Packers, did he?
I don't think so.
One year we swept you guys with Cutler, I think.
Is that the
you
year
guys had
Rodgers
Devin
went
Hester.
down?
Yeah, that was when he went down, and you guys still had Devin Hester.
Yeah. That's what I remember. That's the only thing I remember. Now looking back at the record, it's embarrassing. The last like 10 years. Packers win like 75% of the time.
Dude, it's because our quarterbacks, though. We did a great job at getting Rodgers.
I don't know what they're doing with him. Like they're gonna let him play one more year and then like let someone else shop for him.
Well, supposedly this is his last year of guaranteed money that he's got in his contract.
I guess they could trade him for. So if the
Packers trade him, dude, I'm done being a Packers fan.
I'm saying
straight up.
If he finishes this year, they can't trade him, right? They have to, like, he's released.
No, he's got 2 years left still on his deal. He's no more guaranteed money left.
He's basically in the same situation Russell's in. He can't get traded unless he gives the okay. Like the no trade clause or whatever they call that.
They're gonna try to get some first round picks for him after this year.
He wants to be a Packer for life, dude.
What if I feel like if they ever did like get rid of him or agree to let him go, he'll come to Chicago, dude, and light up the Packers. He seems like
Brett Favre move.
He seems like that kind of guy, just like Brett Favre.
I could see him going out to the 49ers, back to his hometown.
Yeah, true. That would be a good one. But I don't know why the Packers would not let him retire as a Packer.
Yeah, he says he wants to play another 5 to 7.
Way better than Favre, I think, right? How many Super Bowls did Favre win?
Just one.
Yeah, just
one.
So
Rodgers won 1, right? And Rodgers made it to 2, right?
No,
just
Rodgers
one.
has only been to 1.
1 and 4 in NFC championships.
Yeah, we should have been in 5 Super Bowls by now.
Yeah, but you got to have you can't just rely on the quarterback.
No.
The Packers always skimp on other players.
Yep, that's our problem. It's always that. So we have one guy on our defense that always doesn't deserve to be there.
Kevin King.
And yeah, you guys want him?
Shit, I can't believe the Bears released Kyle Fuller. They didn't even trade him, dude. They just cut him.
Yeah,
We could have got a first round pick for him. He's a fucking Pro Bowl cornerback.
Yeah, he's good.
He was supposed to be in the package for Russell Wilson. And then that fell through. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, they're really not going to get him now, are they? And I don't know what's going on with Akeem Hicks.
He was the other guy that was on the list.
Yeah.
They wanted to trade him.
It was him. It was Hicks, Fuller, the 3 firsts and 2 seconds for Russell. That was the deal.
That would have been insane. He would instantly be the best quarterback to ever play in Chicago.
Oh yeah, hands down.
What's up with Watson, dude? He's probably going to go to the Patriots after all this shit settles.
I don't see him I don't think he's going to put cleats on there ever again.
Yeah, I don't see him playing another snap. No.
There's
now with all the mounting evidence, dude.
I heard something like the lawyer that is representing all those clients is like the next door neighbor to the owner of the football team, the Houston Texans.
Oh.
Like and someone told me the conspiracy that like the Texans are trying to fucking, you know how that coach like tried to take down the organization, like they're trying to take down Deshaun Watson. This is just a conspiracy. That's what someone told me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't really know what to believe on it. It's kind of sketchy.
I personally think he's guilty. Just obviously I don't know anything. But just by what I've read into and stuff that's came out, I think he's guilty. And yeah, he'll definitely
those civil court. If he loses any civil lawsuits, then it'll go to a criminal court. But if
it's criminal, it's criminal. 2 brought forward criminal charges.
It's criminal charges now.
2 out of the 23, came forward and released their names and pressed criminal charges. Yeah.
And there's a big question mark that there's 150 women total that might have been affiliated with it, but names aren't tied to him yet. So.
Yeah, well, if he's guilty of being a weirdo, then put him in jail. But if he's not, Let him play.
Yep, that's what our stance is on the show. For about every guy that we talk to, like if they're guilty, let justice be served. But if not, then
You just never know with famous people, and especially like when one story comes out and the fact that like all these other people come out of the woodwork trying to get some of that money too. Like that's like, I'm not saying like he's innocent or guilty, but like that historically has happened to people. Like Patrick Kane got accused of like sexual misconduct, and like the courts ruled that that girl was lying, and he like countersued them, and like stuff like that happens all the time with celebrities and professional athletes.
yeah, unfortunately with the Deshaun Watson case, though, there's 23 stories that are like identical.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I haven't really been following it, but
basically he goes into massage places or finds people who give massages. They come over to his house or he goes over to their place or whatever, and basically gets a hard on, rolls over and like grabs their hand and like touches himself and all that like forcefully.
I don't understand how people that are that rich can put themselves in situations like that. That's crazy to me.
Another guy that got fucked over too, Sean Oakman. If you guys remember him out of Oregon, like 10 years ago, his like girlfriend filed like said that he like raped her or whatever. Basically,
and then they dropped the charges like 5 years later or something.
Yeah, like it took a year or two, and by then he got out of shape or whatever, and then he literally was like a top prospect. Yeah, he was like a top prospect to go in the NFL and never saw a snap on the field, all for a false accusation.
It definitely happens, and that's like you said. If they're guilty, let justice be served. But if not, then we hope to see him continue to play football because he's a decent quarterback.
It almost needs to be like on that counter side where, like, whatever happened to her. Like if you make an accusation like that and you're lying through your teeth, you should go sit that jail time instead.
I think you do.
Yeah, they do have laws like that now in some states, not everywhere though.
Because it didn't used to be like that, but now since that has become like a recurring thing with wealthy men being accused by women and stuff like that, yeah, there are laws where like
you just gotta think like, I'm not trying to stick up for him or like if it did happen, like take away from the fact that it happened, but like you got to be kind of skeptical of the fact that like if there really was over 20 women that this happened to, like why would they all wait till now? You know, like why wouldn't we have not heard of this sooner? And why wouldn't they like? Because I would imagine if you're a personal massager and you like are giving like massages where there's no nudity involved, that you would be like any other business filming what's going on in your business, you know? Or is that illegal at a massage parlor?
I don't know the laws. I think every state's probably different too. Because most of it, literally, like all the ones that he's been accused by, it's been within the last year.
Yeah.
And most even recent up to March of this year of people coming forward saying he's doing this stuff. Like if personally, I feel like if they're trying to just get the money, he's rumors and it's already came out. He's tried to settle outside of the lawyers with some of the people.
Yeah, but that's a rumor so far. They didn't confirm that.
Yeah, they did. It was confirmed. They confiscated text messages. He was trying to settle. He was trying to settle outside of the lawyers settling with some of the people.
Look that up. Look that up. If the lawyer is the next door neighbor of the Texans owner, do you think that's kind of fishy?
If it's true, yeah, I mean, it's the United States of America. It's the NFL. I wouldn't put nothing past them. If they can pull off whatever they want to pull off, dude.
Yeah.
It's like with the whole concussion things, how them saying people are good to go when they got full-blown concussions.
Or Ray Lewis was a murderer and he fucking...
Hall of Famer.
Or sports commentator.
Hall of Famer. He was the meanest motherfucker.
He's on Fox. He's got a show on Fox with Brandon Marshall.
He's the meanest. He was one of the GOATs.
Yeah, that guy gave some concussions out like candy.
Just like Ed Reed, dude, that defense is probably the best defense to ever play the game.
Yeah, Ed Reed, the ball hawk, the original ball hawk.
I remember I watched a documentary on him, dude. No, never mind. I take that back. That was on Brian Dawkins. Brian Dawkins literally used to create alternate personas against specific teams that he would play against, and guys on his own team would have to call him by that name and treat him like his persona for for that week, dude. He'd like turn into a different person and be like a
That's
different
crazy.
person for like a week. Yeah. He's like, I fully submerged myself into it. Like, yeah, dude, it was nuts. But that's why he's one of the greatest to do it, dude.
When he
That's
like make
wild.
up like picture a guy in the other team like did something in his head, like he'd like paint a picture in his head to like piss himself off too. I feel like a lot of guys do that where they just look at a guy and it's like, oh, the guy called me a bitch, even though he actually didn't. But
Right,
you convince
yeah.
yourself that, and it just gets you wound up, and you go after that guy.
I know Jordan was the classic to do that, where he'd create false stories in the media of people saying shit just to blow it up to get the hype,
Yeah.
just to give himself that little edge, dude, to go out there and say, fuck you.
Yeah, The Last
buddy.
Dance was a great documentary. Shout
Yes.
out.
Shout out Dennis. One of the characters of the NBA, dude.
The fucking hair.
He's a legend.
Legend, dude. One of the
I can't
greatest
believe
rebounders
friends
of
with-
all time, man.
Kim Jong-un. He's friends. They're homies.
Yeah, oh yeah, dude. They probably shoot missiles all the time.
It's funny because he's totally oblivious to like America's conflict with North Korea and when he went over there.
Yep.
Well,
yeah, that's really all I got.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can keep talking, but we can wrap up the show.
Yeah, let's
the
wrap it up.
episode.
I got some shit to do. It's kind of late now.
All right, sounds
How
good.
long was this?
We're at hour 34 right now.
Damn, that's pretty cool. Shit, well, it was good talking to you guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, dude. Anytime.
Yeah.
Thanks again for the music.
Yeah, I got a couple more I can send you.
But yeah, if you do that, we'll incorporate it into some of our segments that we'll work in.
For sure. That'd be cool.
Yeah, dude. You have my email, so just rifle them over whenever.
For sure. Well, it was good talking to you guys.
All right, peace out, buddy.
See ya.
Peace.